everyone, and welcome to our SESI Talks. SESI Talks is part of the programs We EP Workers and the European Union, which is the project by SESI. We want to bring to the attention of workers and the citizen in general the actions taken by the European Parliament, especially in this very hard time where we need to recover from the effects of the pandemic. Today, we're really pleased to have Esther Sándor, which is a research manager on social policies at Eurofound. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So Esther, we know that the pandemic has had a great impact on the labor markets. It's been a great disruption. So how has it affected our labor markets and employment?
Yeah, so first, we know that early in the pandemic, there was a huge decrease in employment. It's estimated that about 5 million jobs were lost compared to 2019 in 2020. And most of these jobs lost were among temporary workers. So they accounted for approximately 3/4 of the jobs lost. And we know also that young people and women were more likely to lose their jobs, especially those who were working in low-paid jobs. But apart from those who lost their job, there was a huge increase in employees, people in employment who were not working. And this contributed to a large decline in total hours worked. And these were the workers where government support was crucial to keep them going during the crisis. And in terms of sectors that were affected, it was very uneven. So we know that it had highest impact on those types of jobs that had high social interaction, but that were non-teleworkable. So for example, hotels and restaurants, in some countries it was retail, but also essential sectors had decreased their working hours. But on the other hand, teleworkable and knowledge-intensive jobs in services were quickly digitalized. People started working from home, and in these sectors, many workers saw their working hours increasing by teleworking.
Thank you so much for this overview. And another impact that the pandemic has had is on health, especially mental health. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, of the impacts of the pandemic on mental health of workers?
Well, what we found in Eurofound's e-survey on COVID was that during the pandemic, mental well-being of workers in general was worryingly low, particularly among those times when the lockdowns were the strictest. And it was especially among women and young people that it was low. And this showed in the frequency of negative thoughts, feelings of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and the low frequency of positive feelings. And we found evidence that the mental well-being had a close relationship with how severe the lockdowns were in different countries. So the more severe, the worse, and school closures were the ones that had the largest effect. There was an interesting difference between men and women in this regard, that men who were working from home had better mental well-being than those who were working on site. But for women, there wasn't such a big difference. And one explanation could be that men are more commonly working in non-teleworkable jobs, so that they are maybe lower paid, and those who are working from home were in higher paying office jobs. But the other explanation or other factor is that women's work-life balance was much worse during the pandemic, even those who were working from home, and this affected their mental well-being, particularly for those who had children as well to take care of.
Absolutely. And one of the first reactions to the pandemic has been teleworking. Do you think that the new trends in employment are here to stay?
Well, yes, as we know that teleworking became very common, especially early in the pandemic, but by spring of 2021, the proportion of people working only from home decreased quite a bit, so just to 25%. And at the same time, the preference to work from home stayed very strong. So it even increased compared to last year as measured by our survey. And it shows that most people would like to continue a combination of telework and office work, especially among workers under 45. So for them, more than half want to work from home at least a few times a week. And I think that this strong preference indicates that blended work, or kind of teleworking and office working, is the future for jobs that are teleworkable. But it's very important to monitor working conditions and work-life balance in both teleworkable and non-teleworkable jobs, because this might result in increasing inequalities between workers.
Absolutely. One thing that we're going to have to do is to make sure that the working conditions get better instead of getting worse at this moment in time. Thank you so much for your time and all the wonderful work that you're doing at Eurofound. And thank you again to everybody that is watching.
Thanks very much for the invitation.